Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Honey, We're Home. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Caroline.
We are so excited. We are in the studio today, live from Times Square, coming to you with a very special and exciting guest. We have Emily Claman. Emily is a prenatal and postnatal fitness expert and founder of Push Fitness. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so excited. We're going to have her talk all about prepping your body for babies, prenatal fitness, postnatal fitness. This is just an exciting episode because I feel like a lot of us are at that point in our lives where we're not pregnant yet, or maybe we are if you're listening, and you really want to get in tip-top shape, if you will, for that moment, because there is a lot to it, and we're not experts in this category.
We are not. Also, I can feel the energy, and we're all trying to de-stimulate at the moment. Emily told me, she reminded me this morning when she walked in, she was like, I forget how overstimulating these 5 blocks of Manhattan are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a good point, because every time we sit down to record an episode, it's the first 10 minutes we're just trying to re-regulate.
Truly.
But maybe this will help. We have a segment called the Welcome Mat, and it is 3 fun questions that sort of just get us into the episode. And it is a off the tip of your tongue type of thing. They're not serious. Okay. And we do this with guests, or we're at least starting to do this with guests, because it's just a fun way to get to know you a little bit more. And so, Nikki, do you want to ask her the first question?
Yes. Well, first of all, before we jump into that, how are you?
I'm good.
We've been
great.
I'm
no, but
hello, Emily.
It's the overstimulation. Literally, I was I truly forgot. I've lived here essentially more than half my life, and I'm this tiny 5-block radius is more overstimulating than the rest of the city.
It's so loud.
It is.
Even just now while we were talking, I hear a siren in the background. I'm like, dear fucking Christ. But anyways.
But I'm great.
Yay.
Overstimulated and ready.
And we're just jazzed to have you here. Okay, so our first question for this Welcome Mat segment, if you could travel anywhere right now, where would it be?
Okay, I think Australia.
Oh,
that's a good answer.
Why?
First of all, it's summer there.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So right.
Have you ever been?
No,
it is.
I've never been.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone I know who has gone there is it's the best. The vibes are so high, and the food's really good, and the people seem really hot and nice, and really it's just the summer, summer of it all.
Yeah.
But all the other things sound great.
That's a really good answer. Okay,
Ditto. Question
question number 2. What clothing brand are you obsessed with right now?
I'm going to have to give this one to Miss Kimberly. I am living in my Skims right now.
Wait, can I tell you, this is so ironic because I never shop at Skims. I have one bra from there and that's it.
Oh, you're missing out.
Ironically, yesterday I placed an order, a $300 order for loungewear.
Correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the past couple months, the second I am home and showered, I'm in Skims.
Yeah.
And then while I'm in my Skims, I'm I should probably get another lounge set because I wear this every day.
All the time.
And now all of a sudden I'm just my home is full of Skims. Even my husband now wears Skims.
I think it has something to do with
he loves it.
My husband wears Skims now too.
Yeah.
And
my mom has started to give him Skims for Christmas.
Yes.
Skims boxers,
it's good gift.
Shirts.
It's great.
Well, I said this the other day. I said this in the past week. I said, I hate to do this, you guys, but my favorite pajamas are still Skims. It's just that they're so soft, and you can get anytime. I slept in a pair of Skims pajamas last night.
Yeah, same.
And I hate to say it because it is pricey, but anything I've ever felt / worn from them is good.
No, it's so good.
It is good.
I can't even be. That's why I'm
price.
Kimberly, I don't know what you're putting in that.
Yeah.
It's crack.
In this day and age, though, I would even call it on par with the other at least quality sleepwear that you're getting.
Yeah.
I would have a bone to pick if it was that was the price, but it was crappy quality, the
Totally.
Pajama Gate scandal or whatever.
What?
These girls. Do you know what I'm talking about? The girls that made festive pajamas, but they charged over $100, but they were printed tees basically.
Oh God.
And they got a lot of backlash.
No, that's wild.
And all of these creators, they got upset because they were pajamas cost $100, and hundreds of thousands of people are it's not that we don't know pajamas cost $100. It's that you're selling printed on t-shirts, for $100.
Yeah, I missed
So
this.
know your whatever price point. But the quality of Skims is good, where I'm if I have to stack it up against Eberjay, it's cheaper. If I have to, whatever. And I think that's why I keep going back for more, because I can justify that price over some of the more expensive stuff.
Totally.
Underwear,
She also,
10
I
out
feel
of
like
10.
runs a lot of sales, just like
ton.
for what
Yeah.
it's worth.
And I never catch them.
Catch 'em,
Never.
girl. You're
all
missing
my
out.
socks, yeah.
That's
You're
your.
missing
I'm
out.
literally like
I always buy
sweating.
full
Like
price.
I get all the emails that are like, no.
I
No.
I didn't get one thing on sale.
I'm sorry, I've never
yesterday.
purchased
I was about to
anything
say
full price there.
perhaps maybe one of my lounge sets was
Yeah.
full price. You will lock into your inbox because
Yeah.
the emails will be like
Okay.
tomorrow
That's the
50%
thing.
off, and I'm like,
Are you an
let's-
email
let's
girl?
go.
Because I'm a brand
No.
email girl.
Yes.
I check
ignore
my
that
email.
shit.
Oh no, I look.
I have
That's
a
how I
specific
know.
email address for those
things.
Oh,
That's how that one
wow.
day I was like Banana Republic
I'm gonna get
or
my
J
life
Crew,
together.
and you were like, "What's the deal with J Crew?" I'm like, "Cause they notified me in my inbox."
Yeah.
Sale.
I need to get on top of that. Our last quick welcome at question. What's a self-care non-negotiable that keeps you sane?
Self-care is so loaded.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so loaded.
She's
I
real.
mean,
Yeah.
it
She's
is.
real.
It just is. I feel like the like cop out answer would be like moving my body every day because I just like believe in that so much. But I start every day with a hot water with lemon and a scoop of collagen.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
yeah, I remember you
yep.
telling me this.
And it's become like my morning non-negotiable because it just like forces me to like take 5.
Well, and you can tell because you have not one wrinkle.
Oh, my
and don't you
God.
not do any
Thank you.
Botox?
What?
Or did I make that up? You
What'd
haven't
you
done
say?
Botox?
I have not.
I know.
Oh my
And
God.
she's our age. My
Never.
age.
Yeah.
So
Wow,
this is
thank
why I
you.
love you because you just triggered in my memory. She was on the wellness panel that I mention on every episode since then.
Yes, really?
You were. I literally
Yeah,
like
she
talk
does.
about how it changed my life.
Oh my God.
With Kate and the others. We
And the
should
hatch?
just have the whole panel and the
Yeah,
hatch.
she finally got the hatch.
I've
finally
I've
got the
seen the
hatch.
posts.
I've
But-
been talking
Slay.
about the hatch for like literally a year,
and we love
and
it.
she'll be
so
like,
far.
"I don't get
Woke
it. I
me
don't
up.
get it." And then she went to the panel and she was like, "I get it."
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason I loved you so much on that panel, I asked the question at the end of what's your morning routine? Because everybody was just so successful. I was like, they've all got to have like a rock solid morning routine. And Emily straight up was like, everybody else went with their lengthy morning routines, these detailed routines. Like I meditate and then I do 5 minutes of yoga and then I do that. And Emily was like, I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't really have a morning routine.
I was like, my morning routine is shit right now. I'm running
Yeah.
a business by
Yeah.
myself. Don't look to me for the answer. But I did throw in, I have my warm water with lemon and collagen every
That's
morning.
a routine.
It's just to
No,
like,
it is. Also, it doesn't like
it's
help with
grounding.
digestion.
yes, there are
Yeah.
like, I think I even said this on the panel, which like probably isn't the best thing to do, but I was like, I read something a couple years ago and like obviously looked into it a little bit more that I was like, okay, cool. I'll just like, this is a great
Yeah.
thing to just put into my life.
Do you know
Yeah.
where I heard of it for the first time? I swear to God, it was like probably Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm sure it was.
It
I'm
had
sure
to be
that
like
was
a
the same
Goop thing.
you know,
Like,
shout outs to Goop for changing my
Because
life.
I remember
Yeah.
doing it. I did it for like a year and a half.
I'm gonna incorporate
Morning
that.
routines are really hard for people with ADD. Like extremely hard.
They're hard for everyone.
Yeah.
Like I respect and admire people that can do like at that panel. I was literally like, oh, I gotta get my shit together. Like all
impressive.
these people were like, I meditate, I do this, I wake up extra early so I have, you know, XYZ. And I'm like, it's very aspirational, but in like practice, it just like makes people feel bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like,
agree.
let's start small, a la the hot water with lemon
Yeah.
or something else. Or maybe you just like drink a glass of water
I love
and be like,
that.
check,
Yeah.
I slayed that.
I also
Like,
learned it has to
start
be
small.
time, things that you can do
takes
in under
forever.
15 minutes. Like all together. Like I have this thing where like every January or like this year, February is basically January. So I actually literally just did this past weekend. I like write down what my morning routine was for the last year, what part of it is still working for me, what part of it actually stresses me out. And then I redo it. And I think it helps me to say like, this is only basically a 1 year commitment. So like, this is what
that's
your
nice.
routine's going to be for the year. And it's directly based off of like what didn't work for you last year and what
Totally.
you need to add in. And then I can change it next year wherever I'm at there. But like last year's, mine was so intense. It was like an hour and a half. Like that is
No.
what it is. If you're going to do a devotion and a journal and a meditation and
it's a lot.
and you're
Mine-
going to make your
mine gets
coffee
like
and
that.
breakfast and
Yeah.
like skin and then teeth and then
Yeah.
hair, like,
Too much time.
and then you shower. Like it is noon. That's what it feels like
Yeah.
before you're really
well,
in
or
the day.
or you have to wake up at like 4 a.m., which
Right.
Yeah.
doesn't work. And then
well,
like
because then you're tired. You didn't get the sleep that you
my
needed.
thing is the reason I like just like the one quick like the thing I do every day, like the water for you, is because like last night, for instance, Mike and I both, for some reason, could not fall asleep till like 1:30 a.m. And I would hate to be like, oh God, I have to fall asleep and wake up by 6 because I have my hour-long journaling routine that I must do because it's my routine. So I like that you're like, quote, a wellness expert, but also okay with like being real and just like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. I also, the demographic of women that I work with a lot, obviously are mothers or soon to be mothers, or women in this chapter of life, whether you're trying to conceive or thinking about starting a family. And if you look at the pressures that are already on women, like as a mom or as a pregnant woman, like adding one more thing to your plate to feel bad about if you don't do is like not going to serve you at all. So it's like, let's be more realistic about this. Again, there's aspirational things that can be on your list of like, okay, cool, this would feel really good if I did that, without like punishing yourself if you're like, oh, you know, I have a 3-year-old and I have a newborn and now I'm not doing my 20 minutes of journaling, like I'm a shitty person. It's like, no. No.
It's there to make you feel better.
Right.
So like if the act of doing it is such a pressure on you of like fighting to find the time and then feeling crappy if you don't do it, it's like the point was for it to make you feel better.
Right,
so
it's
like,
to serve you.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. It's just like another thing, like I said, to add to the list of like tasks we must complete.
No, there's so many on the list.
There's so many.
Yeah. So speaking of your clients, I want to hear about Push because I feel like you've just like cornered all of Hoboken. Everybody, if you are a woman in Hoboken, New Jersey, or in the broader area, the broader tri-state area,
you know about Push.
You want to go, or you're already obsessed with it. So can you tell us about it? How did you start it, and what it even is?
Yeah. Oh my God. So pretty much I've been in the fitness industry for like over a decade, worked, you know, historically mostly with women. And I just watched as so many of my clients would get pregnant and then lose a lot of their joy in movement. And again, in that way, if fitness is your thing, if it makes you feel good, it's something you love to do. And then all of a sudden you're afraid all the time or you're unsure of what to do. And quite honestly, at the time when I started my fitness career, I was highly underqualified to serve that community. And the more and more, you know, I started having clients get pregnant or have babies, I was like, surely there needs to be a better way of approaching fitness in this chapter, because like I said, there was just like nothing available out there. And essentially it was like when COVID struck, I had already been like doing a bunch of research and learning more about the pregnant body, and obviously was like very educated in the female body, but not that specific chapter, the pregnant and the postpartum body. Then I just like dug my heels in even more and came up with the idea for Push, because really it was like, you know, I don't have children actually. And like a lot of people are always like, oh my God, you started this and you don't have kids yourself. And the answer is not yet. But part of what created, or why I created this, is the idea of like, well, when I'm pregnant or when I have a baby, like sad. I'm going to want to feel, well, not that, but I'm like, I want to feel like myself. Like I want to feel like I can go to my favorite fitness studio and not be terrified that I'm doing the wrong thing, or feel like movement is so important to me. I want to make sure there's a place I can go to where I'm comfortable, where I know I'm being taken care of. And at the same time, I'm listening to Meg Thee Stallion and, you know, tightening my booty.
That's nice. That's like I feel like that's the ethos of this show, that is like, just because we're moving into new stages doesn't mean we have to like lose what's fun.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I want to go to a workout class that blasts like fun music. Like it doesn't need to be like, you know, the merry-go-round orchestra.
We're not at that stage yet, either of us, but you know, I work out now. I do these high impact things. Sometimes I'll do a lower impact, like Pilates, yoga, etc., walking, whatever. But I truly have no idea, like when I do become pregnant, I don't know like what I'm allowed to do. And I feel like there's not a lot of fitness studios like that. Like, I don't know if I can just walk into the kickboxing class or the whatever class and start jumping and punching away. And if that's good for the baby or not. So like, I guess, is that what kind of workouts at Push are we looking at? And I do want to note that I at first thought Push was just for pregnant. It's not just for.
Yeah, no. So I offer a couple different classes at Push. One of them is not pre or postnatal specific. You can be a pregnant person or a mom or a postpartum person. but you don't have to be. So I have a lot of women that just come to the studio for, it's a high intensity, low impact class that kind of fuses concepts from like strength training and functional training with more of like what you'd associate with like a mat Pilates class. And I kind of like created this cocktail of movement, for lack of a better way of saying it, that really what I feel like serves the female body the best.
Would you say that even for those people coming to your class that are not like prenatal, postnatal, it's like that's a type of workout that would help prep your body for pregnancy?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's such a like niche, not niche, that's the wrong word. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like highly specific for the individual question. Right. Like some people's body tolerate high intensity impacts really well. Some people's bodies don't. Really just being in like optimal physical shape pre-pregnancy is going to serve you and your baby long term. But yeah, it's a beautiful complement to whatever your pre or postnatal routine winds up being. If you're already comfortable with the type of movement, you know, pre-pregnancy, then when you are pregnant and you begin to either modify certain things or walk into a room where you're not super comfortable with the workout they do there, but you already have the knowledge of things you can do. That's another big thing that I preach at push. That was hard to say. Is just like being educated and feeling confident in knowing that you know the basics. You have the foundation of what you should do and what is safe for you to do during pregnancy. So you can go to your kickboxing class and be like, I love kickboxing. I'm going to make these choices while I'm in my kickboxing classes throughout my pregnancy.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I'm trying to truly picture like any of my workout classes I've been in, like my kickboxing class. I don't see like pregnant women in them. Like I don't see a lot of like, 8-month pregnant women in these classes. But are there 8-month, 9-month, 7-month, whatever month pregnant women in yours?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I offer like a prenatal specific class.
Yeah.
It really just depends. Like I said, it depends on the person. My prenatal classes are designed specifically for a pregnant body. So basically you are coming to the studio to take a prenatal sculpt class, and you know that everything that you're doing in that class
you don't have to
is
modify.
safe. You don't have to modify. You know, you're, with a very educated person. If things don't feel good to you during that class, it's not because they're unsafe. It just might mean that day something doesn't feel good for your pelvis or something like that. And it's very, easily modifiable, obviously.
So I heard you say that like just being educated on it is so important. And I feel like probably the majority of our listeners are in a similar phase as us, where it's like they're not pregnant yet, but they're starting to learn about it. I saw you say that your postpartum recovery starts during pregnancy. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's a great question and a very important concept. I feel like most women don't understand. And I'm going to say this. It could be controversial in some circles, but
we've had worse.
Don't trust me. In a beautiful way, the pendulum has swung really far in the direction of, we are encouraging women to work out and trust in their bodies during pregnancy. Like, yes, can't say it enough. That is amazing. Science is there, research is there. The more you can take care of your body, move your body during pregnancy, the better it is for you and your baby. However, unfortunately, with the world we live in on social media and TikTok and Instagram, and seeing videos and seeing your friends even be like, oh, I'm in my kickboxing class at 6 months, 7 months. Maybe that works for them,
right?
But it might not necessarily work for you.
Yeah.
And even though during pregnancy you might be able to do certain things, one of the things I see the most is women that are really married to planking. Okay. And you reach a certain point in your pregnancy where just because you can physically hold a plank does not actually mean it's going to serve you, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
We kind of have to shift, without getting too nerdy on you, we have to shift the muscle groups we're focusing on in order to hit the correct abdominal muscles during pregnancy. And what we want to do is turn down something in the body called IAP, which is intra-abdominal pressure.
Okay.
Basically, there's something called diastasis recti or diastasis recti.
Yeah.
Yep. Very fear-mongering shit out there about that. Every woman experiences abdominal separation. Literally picture your stomach as it is right now, and then pregnant, your muscles have to literally move out of the way. So separation is going to happen no matter what. And in time, that will heal, right? That connective tissue is meant to stretch, right? There are hormones in your body that help that movement encourage that movement to happen rather. So, for example, during pregnancy, if you're planking, we're actually just increasing pressure in the body, which is going to cause that separation to be way worse than it would be if we were making better choices. So for someone, for example, that didn't know that, and they're like, 9 months pregnant holding planks because they saw on TikTok, like this person who runs sprints and holds planks, that maybe is a legitimate fitness professional whose body can tolerate that.
Right.
I don't know her, but great. If that works for her and she's doing it safely, fine. For your average girly, I'm going to go say and confidently say 9 out of 10 times, you absolutely shouldn't be doing that. I would almost say 10 out of 10 times.
This is why you need an expert like guiding you in it, because I am the type of girly who would see a pregnant person planking on TikTok and immediately just do it with no research.
Right. So that postpartum body is going to have endured way more pressure on their core, so their separation will be much more severe than someone who is making better choices. So that's kind of a very clear example of like your postpartum recovery starts during pregnancy. It's the same body. So you have to make the best choices you can during pregnancy to not only support your pregnant body, but also have like future you in mind to help with a much smoother recovery.
What is a lower IAP? Is that what you called it?
Yes.
What is a lower IAP exercise that you would like substitute instead of like a plank, or that women should try to incorporate daily or every other day, even if it's just on their own?
Even like a modified plank, like certain, again, this is where, and I will look at the camera for this, like don't take this as Bible right now, because everyone is very different. So this is going to apply to certain people differently. But like modified planks are wonderful if you know how to do them correctly, right? Side planks are awesome. The most important thing, in my opinion, to understand is how to activate and access your core properly during pregnancy. Okay.
That's that helps with pushing the baby
absolutely
out?
It helps with pushing. It really helps with everything. And we were living in a time where, we were like, oh, you're pregnant, don't do core work. Like, oh, you're pregnant, your abs are like on vacation, and maybe certain parts of your core are on vacation, but the deeper layers of your core are actually like more important than ever. So core work is quite honestly like the most important thing to master during pregnancy, and we don't really look at that as such. So knowing how to do that will change any workout that you do. And
this is when you refer to deep core, when you talk about that. How do we access it? Like, what is a move that can access it? Is that the side planks that you just mentioned?
Yeah, no. So accessing your deep core is like truly like a skill you have to teach people. Like, it's why Kegels? I incorporate it. Loosely can be interpreted as like a part of it. Okay. Your deep core is made up of a couple components, and your pelvic floor is part of it. Kegels are cool.
I'm doing them right now.
The issue with Kegel is, we associate Kegels with like contracting, right? And think about any muscle. Yeah, please stop. You don't want to hold on to that for a long time.
I stopped. I did like 3.
The biggest issue with a Kegel is that it's like a muscle like any other. Your pelvic floor is a muscle like any other muscle. So if you think of like a bicep curl, okay, if we did a bicep curl and I just like held my bicep like this and I was like, yeah, I'm working my bicep. Like, no, you're not. Right? You have to contract a muscle and lengthen a muscle in order to have that full benefit of training the muscle. The same goes for your pelvic floor. So we need to be able to contract the pelvic floor and also release the pelvic floor to actually have that function properly within that deep core system.
And now, obviously, that's like a learned practice. And
for sure.
That's the point of like going to these classes. When you get to the point of like delivery, basically, what are some things that this helps with? Like, is it a myth that like doing these core exercises like helps reduce the risk of tearing or, whatever it is? And, I've also heard that like once you get an epidural, like you don't even like feel yourself push. So it's a catch-22.
Yep. Okay, so this is, again, a very loaded question. Yeah. We could be here all day. Also, I'm a full nerd, so I could talk about like the deep science of it, but I'll try and keep it more surface. The short answer is it is not a myth. It is absolutely factual that the more connected you are to your pelvic floor and the core and your core, the more beneficial it will be in the delivery room, period. Okay. Same thing with your recovery, right? The epidural of it all, right? What I like to say to my clients is if I never met them and they went in and delivered, like they would deliver, right? If you get an epidural, your body would do its thing. So it's kind of the same concept. You're just going in with more awareness and more education. So if your body says, okay, push, even if you can't feel it, you know those neural pathways have already been established in your body, so that even if you're like, oh, I can't feel anything,
you've already trained your neural pathways
that
to
is
do
the
that.
hope.
Yep. Something's doing something. It's
That's like really good to know, though, because I feel like there are conflicting conversations going on, honestly, to the point you just said, where it's like we're so in the age of social media and TikTok, and like obviously Nikki and I haven't been pregnant, but we've had this conversation off camera multiple times where we're like, we are scared to be pregnant on social media, like not us sharing our pregnancy, to be on the side of social media where people are constantly like, again, like the fear mongering about this and that, and just 1,000 opinions coming from 1,000 different people, 1,000 different ways.
Information too, like good information, but there's just
you
so
don't know
much
what to believe.
Yeah,
totally.
And so just the idea that like I've had this idea in my head where I'm like, I want an epidural. Like, I'm not crazy. Props to people that can do it without one. I am not you. Like, I'm going to ask for an epidural.
There is no wrong way to bring a child into the world. I cannot stress that enough.
True.
It does not. It is your choice. It is your body. You do you. Don't feel any way. No matter what the choice is, ultimately, like, it's your choice. It's your body.
My plan is just to find like experts, like a select few, like Emily, my sister-in-law, my doctor, like a select few experts, and just listen to and do whatever they tell me to do. And
but it is nice to know that like you can still have an epidural and your prenatal classes will still pay off.
Absolutely.
Because even though you're not like mentally, you're not communicating to your mind to tell your nerves like to push in this certain way in certain time because you can't necessarily feel it. Your neural pathways are still doing that.
Yeah,
that's very comforting to know.
Yeah. I mean, also, it's so layered. We could talk more about it later because I would spend the rest of the time talking about like pushing and things of that nature. But I think having the like feeling empowered within your body to know, like, I know my core muscles are strong. I know how to access my pelvic floor. I've been doing this throughout my pregnancy. Also brings a level of like self-assurance in the delivery room as well. Like even just some of my clients that are on their second or third babies are like night and day labor and delivery after really understanding how to access these muscles in the body. And for what it's worth, like my prenatal specific classes, like we still like work out. Like you are you are working up a sweat and like getting a great workout in. We just incorporate deep core and pelvic floor work. Why can't I talk? Anytime I say
it's an alliteration.
Deep core and pelvic floor, I'm like,
tongue twister right there.
Right. Deep core and pelvic floor work into all of my classes because I think it is just
that's
why key.
I want to take it just for the confidence and the peace of mind of like going in. Knowledge is power. Like knowing your body, like you said, I feel like going into that delivery room, whether you are going to be a C-section or vaginal delivery, like just knowing your body can't hurt.
It's because I'm just going to say this because I've been having this thought so much recently. And I talked to my husband, John, about it. And I was like, it's just such an interesting thought. I don't know why I've been absorbing all of this content. Everyone's pregnant right now. And the conversation of like a partner being a good spouse in that time, taking care of you. And I'm like, are they taking care of you or are they taking care of the baby? Like the need to like always be taking the prenatal and to set up this and to set up the crib and like help you with the cravings. And I'm like, that's all very nice. But like, I just have had this thought over and over and over again. I'm like, it's kind of interesting how like the uptake and care for your partner is really not about your partner's health. It's about your future baby's health. So like, where is the uptake and care that's actually solely focused on the mom? And that is what you're doing.
My pregnant friends will say, like, my one friend was like, I feel like he's treating me like a vessel for the baby.
No,
like,
it's
truly.
I understand that it's sweet, and I'm not saying it's not sweet, but it's like, but yeah, I'm taking care of my body for this baby too. Like, I'm taking care of the baby via my body. I don't have a choice. So you doing the same thing, it makes sense. But like, I'm actually also doing a lot of work. And I'm your body's like struggling to like hold on and keep going. So you're like the first person, honestly, that I felt like has like actually addressed like we're taking care of you.
Thank you for saying that. I mean, that's like my North Star kind of.
Yeah.
Not kind of. It is. In this season of life, again, I say this to all so I also offer postpartum classes. So in my new mama classes, New Mama Sculpt, you can bring your baby.
Well, I wanted to talk about this
Yeah.
so bad. I think it's so everyone should do this.
And I'm like, I love your babies. They're so cute. I will hold them if they get fussy so that you can get your workout in, because at push, like in my space, the mom is the priority.
Yeah.
Like I am highly educated in the woman. Like when people are like, well, what do I do with my baby? And I'm like, don't ask me that. I can tell you anything about you. I'm not an expert in your baby. I'm an expert in you, like your body and what you need. So I just try my best to show up for the moms in any way that I can, and recognize the unfortunate fact that we don't look at pregnancy and motherhood. Oh, again, I think we're starting to a little bit more, the more that society as a whole is being educated more on just how much a woman takes on when they are pregnant or after they have a kid and are raising children. It's kind of like the age old, like your baby's born and everyone goes straight to the baby when they come and visit you, and not straight to the mom.
Right. I've seen those videos, and it's like when somebody does go straight to the mom, it makes the mom feel so like refreshed. I mean,
it special. Again, I am like, I love babies. Like, don't misread that. But like when you look at it on paper, like the mom needs a lot of love and attention and help and comfort and guidance as well. Like,
well, that's why
if not like more low-key.
Your clients, like Christina at one point, who's a dear friend of mine, yours, everybody's at this point, who's one of your big clients, she was like, at one point, I just remember her like postpartum, her baby was like 2-3 months old. She was like, I am looking forward to my push class so much. Like that was what she was like ready to go to. And it's so true, because like you do prioritize mom there and baby, of course. And that is so nice that you can bring the baby.
You're not doing something in order to benefit somebody else. Like you're doing something in order to benefit you. And that is just a question I've had.
I mean, it's a great question. I mean, like I said, I think we're living in a time, like our mothers and grandmothers' generations, like definitely didn't have this. And I'm like brought to tears sometimes when I like think of my own mom and grandma, when I'm like, I just wish that I could like go back in time and be this person for them, honestly. But it's such a vulnerable season of life for women when you are pregnant, when you are postpartum, especially if you're a first time mom and you have like no personal experience in it, obviously, right? So because there's so much fear mongering, and in the digital age, we're seeing this person do this and this person do this, and you know, we're being pushed all these supplements or pushed all these things, and like, oh, everything's fine, just come and do this, and like the bounce back culture, like it's all so gross. And I'm like, let's like rewind for a second and actually zoom in on what we want to do for the woman, right? If the ultimate goal is like, let's help you heal, let's help you feel like yourself, let's help you, you know, build community and all these things. In my mind, going back to when I was kind of like visualizing what I would want for myself and my friends and the women that I had worked with, that I felt like I couldn't serve them, you know, a decade ago. Now I'm like, okay, I know at, you know, a couple weeks postpartum, when I'm like, I gotta move my body, I want to do something, I want to go somewhere, like having the correct, let's call it, for lack of a better way of saying it, way of getting back into a fitness routine needs to exist. And again, I want to feel like I'm going to my favorite fitness studio, just like I did pre-pregnancy, pre-everything. Just like, yes, like today I get to go to my favorite workout class, and not only do you get to go there, but you go there knowing you are treating your body the way that you need to. You are healing and retraining your core in the way that you need to, reestablishing, you know, full body strength, so that you can show up for not only your baby, but for yourself and everyone else in your life.
I love that you said it's like more than just bouncing back, because we always hear that term. Oh, you bounced back so well. She bounced back. And now like people like that aren't even pregnant yet.
But do they feel good?
That's the thing. Like I like that it's a mental like aspect to it too. It's joining that community again. Because I've seen my postpartum friends, like some of them, God forbid, go through, you know, a little bit bout of postpartum depression and whatnot.
Tough.
You just want to feel like yourself.
Yes.
So even if it's just doing that for you in the recovery postpartum stage, then that's plenty. I know we wanted to talk about like if you're doing vaginal delivery versus C-section and how the recovery differs between those two. Like, do you have women or clients that have gone through like a hardcore emergency C-section scenario where their stuff just got like ripped open and they are recovering? Do you have anybody like that in class?
Absolutely.
And how does it kind of like...
So I offer group classes, but I also do a lot of personal training, right? So I think again, it's knowing your body, knowing your, you know, fitness background, and understanding your starting point, let's call it pre-delivery. Okay. I think I remembered the word because I'm about to say it that I couldn't think of before. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I was like, it was nice not that happened. Yeah. Okay. It was nuanced.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
One.
Oh
that's a
my
great
Lord. Okay. Yeah. It is a nuanced answer. I think that is what I want to say. A lot of the recovery process, like the starting point, is quite similar actually when you have a vaginal delivery versus a C-section, depending on the
individual
situation of the C-section and the individual. Again, there's not, it's hard anytime I'm like on a podcast or being interviewed about this, it's so hard to give like a single answer. It's a major surgery. Yeah. You know, so the procedure exists, and it's wonderful that it exists because sometimes we need it. And you know, I think for a while it was like villainized almost, like it's, oh my God, a C-section. And it's like, if that's what's going to safely bring your baby into the world and keep you safe and keep your baby safe, like what a great thing that this medical procedure exists, right? So I know a lot of the time when my clients, you know, for whatever the reason is, you know, have to have one, or it's an emergency C-section, it's a lot to process through for sure. But I think, again, it's important to recognize that even during pregnancy, if you're like, oh, I have this plan that I really want to have happen, like we do have to release some control, and by some I mean most control, because we don't have control over that, and kind of go back to like, if that is what has to happen, it'll be okay. And that's what I tell everyone. I've had at this point like a full spectrum of birth story situations and things that have happened, and every single one of them are doing great.
Are the ones who did a C-section able to just like join your class right away in postpartum, or is there a period?
Yeah, again, I always recommend, because there are a lot of layers to a C-section, no pun intended, in a horrible way, but like you don't want to just like jump back in without actually understanding where your body is. Like I said, it is a major abdominal surgery. So I do always encourage women that have had a C-section, especially, I mean, I think this should be standard practice for everyone. No matter what your delivery is, they'll come in for like a postpartum assessment, like a one-on-one assessment with me. So they know themselves, like what their individual jumping off point is and the right choices to make. It's the same thing during pregnancy. What your body can tolerate is not necessarily going to be the same as your friends, right? It's not necessarily going to be the same as the influencer that you follow. You know what I mean? So understanding, like tuning out that noise is so vital legitimately, because you want to, again, make sure you're doing what you need to do. And I am a huge proponent of pelvic floor physical therapy. Again, I think that should be standard care for every single woman.
Yeah. I'm signing up right now.
Same.
Just to know, again, it's like, don't put me on my soapbox, but like it is such a piece of a woman's body, like the puzzle of a woman's body, that we don't pay enough attention to, especially in this chapter when your body is going through like legitimately the most sensational physical transformation of human being could go through. So it's like, why wouldn't that be like standard care? We should know. We should absolutely do that.
So interesting that you said that, because I actually just had a conversation with someone who they're like TT trying to conceive, and she was talking about her chiropractor mentioned that her pelvic floor was tilted, and she never would have known.
Yeah, what?
And if she hadn't gone to him, and like now she's, you know, probably doing the therapy as well as, you know, whatever's involved with the chiropractor, et cetera. But like that is just a portion of even like conceiving, delivering, pregnancy that I never even considered possible. And as you just said, it's a huge piece of the puzzle. So like making sure we're paying attention to it and getting it in shape and like giving it the attention that it deserves. It's just never occurred to me to even like think about where my pelvic floor is.
Yeah. Obviously, we all want to go to push and strengthen that deep core, that pelvic floor. But are there exercises at home that we should and can be doing to like work on our pelvic floor right now?
Totally. I mean, I think, again, without turning this podcast into like a literal pelvic floor deep core workout, I think it's just finding the right resources and not, again, like no shade to TikTok or Instagram, but like actually finding credible resources where you can learn a little bit more about how to access the pelvic floor and how to trigger the muscles in the pelvic floor. Like everyone thinks it's like one muscle. It's actually 14 muscles in multiple layers. So that's why, again, Kegels are a little dicey because typically that just triggers like the center of the pelvic floor. And we want to make sure we got like the whole shebang doing its thing. But yeah, absolutely. You can do pelvic floor work at home. You can understand, you know, how the deep core and how your core functions properly. It's connected to your breath. It's connected to so many stabilizing muscles in the body.
Whenever anybody says anything about breathing, I just take a deep breath because we don't do that enough throughout the day. This is your reminder right now. If you're listening, take a deep breath. We don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that you talk a lot about the posterior chain. Is that what you say?
Oh my
Is that
God.
how you say it? Did I pronounce it right?
Posterior chain, yes.
Yeah. Okay. What is that? I actually don't know what it is. Chain? And I want to know like why it's important. But firstly, I have to know what it is.
Yeah. So basically it's like the kinetic chain of muscles that line the back of your body.
Okay. See, I can already tell mine
spine?
needs to be strengthened because I'm getting back problems.
A lot of back problems are connected to the core and the back muscles knowing how to work together.
Oh God.
Great.
I know. I already know that though. Like,
but
I have a dad that's like so archaic. Back problems. He's like, you're not strong enough. You're not in shape enough. I'm like, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's, again, the posterior chain is super important during pregnancy specifically. I mean, it is for women in general. We like grossly underuse our lats and like certain muscles in the back of our body as women. But during pregnancy, think about it. You're essentially upping a weighted vest that's inside of your body. But for visual purposes, like imagine just like holding a 5-pound weight and then holding a 10-pound weight and then holding a 25-pound weight and holding 100 pounds.
Yeah.
If you were doing that, you'd be like, how do I hold this up? Like what muscles do I need to fire to make sure that I'm standing upright and supporting my body so you're not just like hanging on your bones, right?
Yeah.
So the back of the body becomes super important because our center of gravity shifts so much during pregnancy that we're super front forward, right? Picture a belly.
Yeah.
Your boobs get bigger, your belly is growing, you know, things are happening in that direction mostly. So we want to make sure that the back of the body is also supporting that like neutral alignment.
So next to core work, would you say working those muscles back there and like building that strength is like the second most important thing for prenatal?
It's definitely on the list. Like I said, I think it's really important to recognize that when you are working out during pregnancy, you're doing essentially full body workouts every time you're working out. So calling on the muscles that help with stability and help you maintain that neutral pelvis, neutral alignment will just help with all of the aches and pains that typically pop up during pregnancy. It will just keep you feeling a lot more comfortable in your body and stronger.
Do you have anybody in their first trimester who's like super nauseous in your classes ever?
Totally. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So first trimester, you are in survival mode. And if you are someone who is super affected and can't do anything, I always say like, don't be hard on yourself. Sitting down in any room really through your whole pregnancy. But it's important to remember during the first trimester because like optically it's like you don't have the belly yet. You're still like, am I pregnant? Like, is this actually happening? So you're in, and usually it's quite isolating because most women don't share the news super early.
Right.
So then you're just like, I feel like shit. I don't want to do anything. Nobody knows why I'm like acting this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna be the first person to know that I am. Now that I'm thinking
I can't
about
wait.
it,
I can't wait.
You probably are the first person to know because women go to your class.
It's a very wonderful badge of honor that I wear.
That's really
it's
fun.
very special. It's like I haven't even told my mom yet, but I'm telling you.
See, I couldn't do your job because I would just
No, I take that to the grave. No. No, again, it's important. People need that outlet and that resource in their lives.
Yeah.
But anyway, a pregnant body, no matter what stage of pregnancy that you're in, you are the hardest working person in any room. So if you're in that first trimester and you're like, oh my God, showing up here was so hard and you only do parts of class. Like I have women sometimes that just like sit on the mat for a little bit. They're like,
that'll be me.
There's no way I'm doing, reverse lunges today, honey. And I'm like, that's okay. You showed up, you do what you can. You know what I mean?
You have a lot of the balls. What does bouncing on the ball do?
The birthing ball?
Yeah, sorry. That was so blunt and vague. Sorry, I'm exhausted. You have a lot of balls. What does that do?
I was honestly about to be like, thank you. Like, you got some balls, lady.
Yeah. Sorry. I really
That's
just malfunctioned. No, the big workout
short circuiting.
Whatever. I short circuited.
No, that was fantastic.
The big balls.
So
I
great.
mean, I just feel like in your wonderful marketing content on Instagram that I see and whatnot, and all the girlies sharing the class experience, I always see those big
birthing balls.
Yeah, they're an awesome tool during pregnancy to just help with mobilizing and stretching and prepping for labor. So I do, again, in my one-on-one sessions that I offer, some women come just for birth prep. So maybe they'll come and take group classes too, but then they'll reach out to me and be like, hey, you know, I'm at 34 weeks. I'd really love to come in for a couple weeks and just talk through prepping my body for birth, because each trimester we kind of look at the body in a different way. And obviously we want to prepare appropriately for delivery and do everything we can to assist your body with that. So
quick question. If somebody does want to, like if somebody is doing their classes, but they do want to do birth prep, like at what week mark do you most often see women come in? Or like if they were to ask you, like what would you recommend? Like come here at this point in your pregnancy?
I typically say like once you start your third trimester, it's good to start familiarizing yourself with the ideals of like what good birth prep would look like.
Cool.
Because if you think about it, it's what I say to women all the time. I'm like, you're not going to show up when you're in active labor and be like, teach me all these things about how to make this a smoother experience. You're going to be like in active labor. So you're not really going to be absorbing all that.
Yeah.
So the more time you give yourself just to get comfortable with it, and not only comfortable with it in your mind, but also like in your physical body, the better. So probably that early third trimester.
I also have another question. I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm like literally reserving questions.
I'm
okay.
just like
one thing that I heard a long time ago that I've kept in my brain was that starting new workouts, like you should only continue the workouts that you already do once you become pregnant, and you shouldn't start a new type of workout. Is that true? And if it is true, like do you recommend women start doing these like strength training, low impact workouts pre-pregnancy to like make that easier?
That's a great question. So again, a nuanced answer. That really applies more to someone that is really inactive in their life pre-pregnancy. If you're someone who like never really works out for like, let's call it like a year pre-conceiving, and then you're pregnant, and then you're like, I should definitely start training for a marathon. Like, no, you should not, right? You already are training for pregnancy and delivery, which is a marathon in and of itself. If you're someone who's only really done low impact workouts, and all of a sudden you're, 15 weeks pregnant, and you're like, I'm going to go take a crazy HIIT class. Like, not the best idea. There's a way to transition into it. My go-to answer for this question though is really like, truly the data is there. Movement during pregnancy is better for you. Rarely is there an instance, it has to be some contraindication to be on like bed rest, or where a doctor would be like, don't do anything. Again, those situations do exist for sure, but for the average pregnancy, like movement is going to only serve you and your baby. So, I had women in the past that they're like coming to my mind right now as I'm saying this, that were pretty low levels of activity during their pregnancy, and came to me, late second, early third trimester, and we absolutely got them moving appropriately. Again, they're not showing up to a crazy high intensity impact from going 0 to 1,000. Like, no, but you should absolutely, if you can, absolutely move.
What about the women who are going through IVF? So they're not pregnant yet, but they might be doing the stimulations. They might be
hormone changes.
Yeah. Do you have any of those clients?
I definitely do.
Because you're about to.
I definitely do. Here's the thing. I feel pretty strongly about not really speaking on the IVF journey in like mass
it's a tough one.
forms of communication, like a podcast. It's again a hyper individualized. See, I did it again. Individualized thing, just like most things are in pregnancy. But because I'm not an IVF expert, like again, I have enough information to serve my clients appropriately in terms of like what your physical body needs to do. But in terms of your history with IVF, like that would be a conversation which I've done before, and speak to my clients' doctors. Actually, like directly. So if a woman is going through IVF and their doctor's like, don't do anything, and they're like, oh, but I have this, fitness studio with an expert who runs the studio, like sometimes I'll actually talk to the doctor.
That's nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I just know when I was going through the stimulations last year at this point, my doctor was like, yeah, you can do like easy exercise. Don't be like, especially as you get closer to the retrieval, don't be doing like hardcore running Goliath marathons, which I wasn't anyways.
But even for you, the fear mongering, again, it's there because you were nervous. Even though she said that, you were still like, I'm still a little nervous.
I just like towards the egg retrievals, I remember I just like walked a lot. Like walking is always my go-to. I'm like, I have a dog.
We love walking.
I can walk. I have 2 feet. I can walk. Let me do that. But I will say, like, as I get more in my journey and as I get closer to being pregnant eventually at one day, I'm gonna be doing push and Emily. I like that you're an expert, but you're not like a know-it-all, like how some experts can be. But you're just
thanks. And I have balls.
And you have balls.
Call back.
And you like go through women in their like. You go through them with them through the whole process, which like I know we don't have much time left, but I really want to talk about the BYOB, like the bring your own baby classes. Oh, yes. Like to me, that is such an amazing concept. Why aren't more people doing this? Like, how did women respond to like having this class? Like, what does it feel like?
I mean, chaotic?
It's been really wonderful. Exceeded any dream and hope that I had for that class format when I cooked it up in my mind. Like, again, prioritizing the woman, looking at, well, what's one of the biggest reasons why women aren't able to get stronger postpartum or aren't able to get into a routine? It's childcare. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, if I structure a class in a certain way where it's safe and comfortable to bring your baby and everyone else in the class is also in that same chapter, it's just like, let's go, let's do it. So
I want her to do bring your own dog.
That would be
they
chaotic.
Have stuff like
I'm
that
the
would
wrong
be
girly for
yeah.
that. I'm the wrong girly for
but
that.
But it did make me think about, like, we did that puppy yoga one time, and I was like, if people do yoga with animals, like, why haven't we been doing Mommy and Me, like, workout classes since the dawn of time? It's a thought I've had over and over and over again about, like, what will I do? Like, what do women do? They're like, honestly, like, work from home or not, they're used to going, even during pregnancy, they're used to going to a workout class after work, before work, if they're work from home, potentially like during lunch. What do you do when all of a sudden, like, you don't want to hire someone to just come for an hour, or like if you're doing it every day, that's got to be extremely expensive. And the workout classes are already expensive. Like, so did you have a positive reaction?
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. It's been like really incredible. Everyone,
does everyone in the classes bring a baby, or are there some?
No, there are definitely some women that don't, and like certain days of the week, depending on like my Saturday morning classes, a lot of the time they'll leave the baby at home with their partner and come. Okay. And look, movement, I will say this always, like, if you are able to carve out time for yourself, which is rare as a mom, especially as a new mom, you can always, I think it's good to prioritize your fitness as like your self-care, right? Yeah. Back to our self-care moment. Like, it's so hard to find pockets of time for yourself. So if you're able to come without your baby and that serves you, absolutely, you can come by yourself. You don't have to bring your baby. Some women love bringing their baby as like time with them out of the house and like a fun activity with your baby that's actually not about your baby, but it's about you with your baby, which I think is a really nice mental shift, because most activities you do with your baby are like the baby music class, or like no the offense, baby
they're like playing with a baby is like low-key not fun. Sorry.
I'm sure it's different when it's your own baby, but babies. But I think that's also
I'm gonna get canceled.
No, I don't think so. I think I've also heard like a lot of people refer to it like as the blob phase or something recently, like the first like 4 or 5 months. You either like love it, or I don't want to say hate it because it's your child, but like you love it or you're like bored by it, I guess.
That's why I always say, like, I'm meant to be a toddler mom. Like, toddlers are so fun when they're talking, they're up, they're crazy, whatever. I say that now, and the moms listening out there are like, get ready, because this toddler stage is hard. But when they are a baby, they can't respond to you, but stimulating them, getting them out of the house, playing with them is still so important, and I will be doing it for my own. And like you said, like, it's different when it's your own. But even like my own nephews and people that I love,
still think it is the same consensus. Like, when will I ever get time for me back? Like when will ever I get my time back? Like, and that's like doing something for you.
I just feel like, this is doing something for you, and also like gets them looking at other things, gets them a little stimulated.
No, it's great. I mean, I think it's great for both mom and baby. And like I said, I would rather, my priority is the mom.
Yeah.
Right. So if that means, if it's between missing a workout or doing a workout with your baby, like all my one-on-one sessions, you can bring your kid, like in the group class setting, of course, but same with one-on-one training. It's like, I'd rather you get the workout in and like, we just have some, like a cheerleader with us.
Well, and my fear for like bringing my baby places in the future, I realize like this is a stupid fear to have, because I personally, when there's a baby in public, wherever I am, if that baby is screaming at the top of its lungs, I could not care less. I'm like, it is a baby, and I want to scream as well.
That's what babies do.
Yeah, I'm a 32-year-old. That's what babies do.
And that's what 32-year-olds do.
Yeah, exactly. So I would like to scream with the baby. But so my fear, I feel like, is like, I don't want to be like one of those moms who's like freaking out if my baby's crying in public, because then I'm like, oh, are people judging, whatever. But I feel like this is just such a judgmental free space. So if you bring your baby to the BYOB class and your baby does start like randomly screaming, it's like fine, because everybody else is moms and they get it.
Yep.
Whereas like people judge if they're not. You know?
But I think it also plays into this larger narrative that we've heard like going on a lot. I think a lot of people in our generation like enjoy this, especially like New York-based moms, of like having your children or your family life like fit in to your life versus like shifting everything about it to like be defined by, the child-based activities.
Totally.
And I am not saying by any means that like you should never do things that are just centered around your child, just finding that balance
for sure.
And I feel like that's a narrative that I at least like I love watching videos about it. I love the idea of it, and I've heard a few times people say like even doing that acclimates children to like being in public spaces or being around people like sooner and quicker, and so you might have less resistance and sort of like that transition of like now we're doing like an adult activity versus like an activity that's focused on stimulating you 100% of the time. And it kind of plays into that. We're like,
for sure,
we're going to this like for mommy. Like you're joining in my activity, just like I join in your activities.
Totally.
Right. That's why they're always like, bring your child to restaurants and stuff. But again, like that environment is tougher, I could imagine, to bring your child to than a BYO baby class that is like
built
is
for
part
that.
of your life, but also built for
it's also just become, and this is why like my mission is to bring push to the world, because it just cultivates a different type of relationship with people. It's again, as adults, it's hard to find new friendships or make friends, and it's a place where you are with women, even if they don't become your best friend in the world, but you are in the same season of life, which is amazing. And I've watched friendships develop. They'll go for coffee after class, like it's just with their babies.
No,
like it's really wonderful.
What an
That's
amazing
really
thing. I have that fear of being isolated. We've talked about this on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Because I'm no longer in like a co-working environment. So like I'm already not exposed to like people at all, or like adults in my day-to-day, unless like I go and seek it out. And so then being in a stage of life where like perhaps you're one of very few pregnant people at your age or in your friend group, like especially in the city, and then even being more isolated, it's like, how do you find that community? And that's like the number one thing that studies have shown is like that's community is like the most important.
This is why I want to, no pun intended, push Hoboken even more, because I've just seen
push it, girl.
My Hoboken mom friends have such a little community. Like the Hoboken mom community rolls deep, and they like they're great to me too. They're like hang out, like they're not excluding. They're awesome, and they're all like, I've never not met a cool one. Like they're all cool, and they all go to Push. So speaking of your mission to bring Push to the world, like what can we see next from Push, and like how can we find
I want like at home, like
I know we're working on it.
Yeah.
Oh, like a
I need
moment.
everyone listening to this to be able to.
Yes. Stay tuned. I'll make sure you guys are some of the first to know. We have some big exciting plans in 2025. So I can't say more than that right now.
Oh, I love us.
Sorry.
We're manifesting and praying that every
it sounds like so dramatic.
No,
but your studio is
all of us
listening
to you right now are manifesting and praying that comes true. Like
yes.
for you and for us.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. But yes, hopefully soon.
Well, and your studio's in Hoboken right
It
now.
is. Studio's in
You
Hoboken.
Post a lot
Come
of
hang
knowledge
out.
and resources. Where can we find you on Insta and all
Yeah,
that?
Instagram. I'm not gonna lie. TikTok has never.
It's okay.
It's so hard.
It's fine. We don't need it. TikTok. We don't know.
It's so
her.
hard.
Yeah.
It's really Instagram.
Yeah.
All the info's on the Instagram, the website, obviously. It's push PPNFT on both Instagram and on my website. And
What is
Yeah.
PPNFT?
Yeah, I was literally
pre and
gonna ask.
postnatal fitness and
Pre and
functional
postnatal.
training.
We're really
Functional
nosy. Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
PPNFT.
I was like,
Pre and postnatal functional training.
What is that
Honestly, it
acronym?
was because push was taken already.
Yeah.
It's always
I just
everything's
wanted
taken.
push, and it was not. So I was like, all right, we'll get a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
A little more
Imagine
niche,
if
if you will.
got a handle at push. That'd be like,
Great.
I mean, it's crossed my mind to reach out to them. They
Yeah,
exist.
full
but
of them.
What kind of company is it?
honestly, I don't remember.
it's probably like a button company.
A button?
button.
Oh, like push a button.
Oh,
I was like sewing.
like
Does it
I
have
thought
a
a
push?
button on a jacket. I was like, walk me there.
How'd you arrive there?
Thank you so much for coming. Everybody,
God,
you can
thanks
find her
for
at
having me.
PPNFT, Push in Hoboken. We're all manifesting some type of, at home
Live
access
stream.
later this year.
Or
Thank
more
you so much.
locations. You
Yeah.
You never know.
All right. Well,
Please.
thank you, Emily. You're the best. We're going to send you back out into Times Square.
Okay.
Yeah, you have the best.
Putting on my armor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
See you at
Thanks
Push.
so
Bye,
much.
guys. See you next week.